Hey everyone, hope you're having a great day. I also hope you've been enjoying the new patch for Helldivers 2 as much as I have. I've been doing a lot of experimenting with not only the new war bond, but also all the adjustments to the stratagems. They've made minor tweaks to most things, but they've also given a lot of attention to certain ones, such as the rocket sentry, the orbital galling barrage, and the topic for this video, the Eagle Strafing Run.
Delivering payload.
Another triumph for managed democracy.
And before the patch, the Eagle Strafing Run was, pretty useless. It was good for only one thing, and that was just killing lightly armored enemies. And could it kill the medium armored ones? Yeah, but you really shouldn't expect that to happen. Most of the time, scavengers and the bot troopers will go down, but the warriors and devastators will come out of the strafing run only slightly damaged. It virtually had no effect on heavy units, and maybe once in a while, in a blue moon, it's able to destroy a bug hole and a bot fabricator. But now it's a lot more useful. Now, is it overpowered? No. Is it a must-take in higher difficulties? Also no. But if you were to bring it with you in your hell dives, it's at least now viable. And that itself is something worth celebrating over. So what happened? What flipped the script for the strafing run? And reviewing the patch notes, it didn't get a list of changes the same way the rocket pods, the rocket sentry, or the galling barrage did. It's fair to say that it only got one real change. You can't argue that giving it one more column was a change, and sure, I'll give you that, but it's not really an impactful change. If we were talking about the same old strafing run, all this tells me, this extra column, is that I get to be disappointed one more time before it needs to be rearmed. But this right here, the increased armor penetration, is all that it took to now make it useful. And in terms of what does usefulness look like, it went from only being able to help deal with the most basic of enemies to now being able to take out enemy structures such as Shrieker nests and Spore towers. If you're able to line it up, you can take out multiple nests in the same column. And this usage also extends to the automatons with its ability to take out cannon turrets, mortar emplacements, and when it comes to heavies, it's able to assist in taking them down as well. And if they're damaged enough, it can even be the nail in the coffin. The Eagle Strafing Run is now at a point where it could pretty much take out every unit in the game, even up to the Battle Titans and the Factory Strider. And beyond all of that, it's still very good at addressing the light and medium armored enemies. And you get to call it in up to 5 times. So, like my other deep dive videos, I wanted to explore the entire ins and out of the Eagle Strafing Run, and here's a quick rundown of what to expect. We're first going to cover the basics of the Strafing Run, and explore a little bit more about the behavior and the damage. Next, we're going to review its use cases against the Terminids and against the Automatons, identifying situations where it shines and possible pitfalls for the stratagem. Then I'll share some neat tips and tricks that I learned while using it since it was updated, and I'll close it out with my final thoughts. So getting right into it, the ship management menu has a very simple and clean description for the Eagle Strafing Run. A strafing run on the battlefield to clear small targets delivered almost instantly. In this description and video example, the players can identify 1, the intended target, and 2, the method of delivery. From the video example, you can see that the area of effect is narrow, meaning you'd ideally want to use this on choke points or when enemies are lined up directly in front of you to maximize the effectiveness. By itself, the strafing run has 4 call-ins, but you can get up to 5 by purchasing the expanded weapons-based ship module upgrade. I highly recommend saving up for this, as being able to get an additional call-in on all your Eagles is helpful across the board. It is also the only Eagle airstrike to not have the explosives trait next to it, but it is able to take out structures and deal with armored enemies the same way explosive weapons and stratagems are able to. It's just a little odd because even the Eagle Smoke Strike has the explosive trait listed, But moving on, bringing it in-game, we can see exactly how the strafing run works. When you call it in, Eagle 1's flight path will be directly behind you, and the rounds for the strafing run will be even visible before the aircraft is. The area effect, as mentioned before, is long and narrow, and the range seems to be 65 meters, which is very long, and the width of the strafing run seems to be very small, which is maybe, I want to say, between 5 to 10 meters. One quick note about the rounds being fired: since they are fired pretty much at the start of Eagle 1's flight path, they are delivered at a steep angle, so avoid throwing this while standing on a cliff to enemies right below you. You will get hit and you will get turned into hamburger meat. Now, when it comes to the question of is it better against the Terminids or the Automatons, it does well against both, but I think it does better against the Terminids. Terminids will always try to approach you and get close to you, so if you're able to run and position yourself where they're all following you in a line, you'll get a lot of value out of a single strafing run. On higher difficulties, multiple bug breaches will spawn at a time, normally 3, and if you're able to, you can move in a spot where you can get firepower down on all 3 of them when you call it in. You won't be able to wipe all of the bugs that emerge from the holes, but you'll be able to get a lot of good damage in. Many of the enemies, including brute commanders, hive guards, and even stalkers, can all die to a single strafing run. For chargers, the basic ones, the increased armor penetration can help you consistently take it out in 3 calls. Against the more durable behemoth charger, it could take you maybe 5. However, I had a lot of success in positioning myself behind the chargers and calling the strafing run right next to their backside. Even if it won't kill them outright, one call-in from this position is enough to chunk the flesh off and have them eventually bleed out. It is able to take out spore towers and shrieker nests, and it does a great job of disposing of the terminate eggs from afar. Before the patch, I would say the strafing run will be able to take out a bug hole in 1 every 20, but now it feels like it does it every 1 in 4. So I'm not saying you should always use this for the sole purpose of taking out bug holes, but if you did want to soften up a nest of some bugs, you might as well try to line up the bug hole at the end to see if you get lucky. For the Bio Titan specifically, a strafing run is able to kill them all by itself, but you'll need multiple calls for that. And for me, it ranged between 7 to 9, and since the area of effectiveness for the strafing run is long and narrow, you want to try and throw it when facing the Bio Titan directly so that the bullets will be able to coat the entire body of the Bio Titan. When against the automatons, you'll be using the Eagle Strafing Run in similar ways. You want to find places or kite enemies in a way where they will line up nicely for you to get a good call in. Enemies aren't normally grouped up the same way they are for the Terminid, so you may not be getting the same level of effectiveness all the time, but there are still places where you'll be able to get decent value from it. One, of course, are the bot drops. The Strafing Run, from my experience, is not able to take out the bot drops, and calling in on enemies before they drop will just have the dropship tanking most of the bullets. You should wait first until the enemies drop, then line yourself up in a way where you can get most out of one strafing run and then throw it. Another situation where I like to call this in on are for cannon turrets, because they are mobile enemies so you don't have to worry about them moving all the time. I was able to call in a strafing run from the side, the front, and the back of a cannon turret and still destroy it. It's also able to deal with a fair amount of the automaton structures. You are able to take out bot fabricators, a lot more consistent before, similar to the bug holes. You're also able to take out a mortar emplacement in a single call-in, and although you can't take out the command bunker entirely, the Eagle Strafing Run is able to take out the cannon turrets on top after maybe 2 to 3 call-ins. When it comes to enemies themselves, it's able to do a great job at taking out, or at least damaging, the medium armored enemies such as Devastators, Scout Striders, and Berserkers. It is possible to kill a Hulk, and if you're approaching it from the front, it may take you all 5 Strafing Runs, and you'll do a lot better attacking from behind, maybe taking only 3 to 4. The Strafing Run is also able to disable an arm off a Hulk, which is very helpful, and against tanks you may need also maybe 4 to 5 call-ins, and for the factory striders it can take them down as well, but same for the Bio Titans, it could be around 7 to 9. In those 7 to 9 call-ins, you'll be able to chip away at it, taking out the cannon turret on its back and the mounted machine guns near the head. Something in both enemy factions that's also a great place to use this are enemy patrols. In patrols, enemies are already grouped up closely, and although not perfectly single file, they're still nicely lined up in a way for you to affect them all in a single strafing run. The only thing here you gotta worry about is your positioning, so make sure you're correctly either behind them or in front of them when you call it in. Additionally, the strafing run, because of its 60-ish meters of range, is great to use when you're approaching objectives. Against the automatons, you're able to clear up fences and create rotations, clear up the barbed wire that slows and hurts you, and get rid of any contact mines that the Eagle hits. Against the Terminids, you're able to thin out the lightly armored bugs, clear out the annoying bug mines that slow you down when you contact them, and just pave a way to the terminal and complete the objective. In terms of what mission is best to bring this on, unfortunately I did not see it when testing it, but I do believe that the Evacuate High Value Assets mission is a great place to use for the Eagle Strafing Run. Enemies will be funneled through the map in these set checkpoints, and I believe the Strafing Run will just shine in those situations. Moving on now, I just wanted to wrap up the whole enemy structure section by saying that it can also destroy the illegal broadcast tower, but it cannot destroy the rogue research station. It can also open up any storage containers, but cannot destroy any other of the super earth structures, such as those blue house-like buildings. When it comes to loadout options, the Eagle Strafing Run is now at a place where it can address a lot of situations, and this is great because it now makes your build a lot more flexible. Against automatons, there's 2 things I'd suggest. The first I would say is a shield backpack. This is because of aim punch. Since the strafing run is very precise, you want to make sure you throw it where you intend for it to land, and being juggled by rocket devastators or having your aim get knocked to the side by every wayward bullet can make it difficult to get where you want it to be. If you have the shield generator, you can still safely and confidently look your enemy in the eye when you throw the stratagem. Another thing I recommend is just something for the gunships, because unless you're 100% sure of where they will be, the reliability of you taking them out with an Eagle Strafing Run is incredibly improbable. And now that they've added patrols made entirely of air units, you're probably going to see them a lot more often, so it's good to at least bring something to answer for them in this case, such as maybe a quasar cannon. Against the Terminids, The only thing I can really think of would be the jump pack. This makes it easy for you to quickly create distance between you and the enemy to make sure that they get caught in the strafing run and that you're safely away from it. In terms of armor options, I have to say that the servo assist passive is very appealing. The added throwing distance that it gives you on top of the 60 meters of range from the strafing run can let you rain bullets from so far away. And above all, my last tip would be to just use it. I'm not used to having so many call-ins for one Eagle, and if you're like me and you have the first 3 ship module for your hangar, then you'll get a 50% cooldown between your call-ins. Rearm time is reduced by 20%, and you get an additional call-in for all your Eagles. You'll have a lot of uptime for your strafing run throughout the mission, so don't be afraid to input your code and just throw it out there. And that pretty much wraps it up for the technical analysis of the strafing run. Before the patch, it was very poor in regards to damage and utility, and now it's got more of both, but it's also not a must pick that just completely overshadows everything else in the game. It went from being pretty much useless to now being viable. It's viable in high difficulties, it's viable in low difficulties. Even though it's not the best option for every situation, it's not well-rounded enough where it can be used in every situation. And I think it's that type of game balancing philosophy that will prove very well for the longevity of Helldivers 2 and the player base. And that pretty much wraps it up for the video. I appreciate you guys checking it out and hearing my thoughts. If you like what you heard and like what you see, be sure to like and subscribe. I do intend to do a similar rundown on the updated Rocket Century, Rocket Pods, and Orbital Gatling Barrage. So if you're interested in that, be sure to stay tuned. Thanks again for checking out the video, and have a nice day.